Many of us who've been home quite a bit lately are starting to take on the look of a wildebeest. I'll be honest with you, or Bigfoot. Me and my husband, I think we look like Bigfoot and the wildebeest at this point because it really the maintaining of the hair and the normal things that we do just haven't been happening. And the only reason I think we even brush our teeth is so we can go to church and even tolerate each other. So when I was reading about Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, Google her if you get a chance, because I don't want to disparage the woman's poor choices of wardrobe. I'm just saying, Google her and you can draw your own conclusion. But she's unfortunate looking. Let's put it that way. Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot defended a haircut she received. This is according to thehill.com. This weekend, despite barbershops and salons being closed due to stay-at-home state mandates. The mayor was criticized for her actions after previously saying, getting your roots done is not essential, according to the Chicago Tribune. I'm the public face of this city, she said in defense of the haircut. I'm on national media and I'm out in the public eye. Okay, I'm trying to do this without laughing because if you've seen Lori Lightfoot and you see the haircut that she dons, it's almost, you could get a bowl, out of the cabinet and put it on her head and trim around it. She could have done that herself. That's a no-brainer haircut. I could have done that haircut. I mean, I'm not a professional, but that's how, anyways, it's not a rocket scientist type of hairdo that Lori Lightfoot wears. But she really thought that her looks were really what's selling it for Chicago. So, Lori, if you're out there, it is time for a makeover. And I'm sure some loving, kind beautician in Chicago would gladly do it for you. I'm sure of it. And I mean, you could do it. We did that. I remember in college we used to do that for friends, who kind of needed a lift. We did makeovers. It was fun. We'd show them how to do makeup because a lot of girls, that was their first time away from home, and maybe their parents didn't teach them how to do a facial or comb their hair or put an outfit together. And so we did that, and it was so much fun. So Lori Lightfoot, probably distant cousin of Pocahontas, you're in for a makeover. I think, I think you should go for it. Go for it, girl. God bless you. Yeah, she's in the public eye. And I don't know how they elected her or what is the process, but God help her. Poor thing. But anyways, on the flip side of that, here in Texas, we had a beautician. Her name is Shelley Luther, and she owns a beauty salon. And she defied authority, and she opened her salon at risk of going to jail. And they actually arrested her and took her to jail. And almost immediately, Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, he went and paid her $7,000 fine. And our governor went to Washington. He's already made a new executive order to say that you're not putting people in jail just because they don't follow every little order we put out there. And he did such a fantastic thing by doing that. Here is him. This is Governor Abbott talking with our president.
That is, as we go through this process of trying to maintain order in our states, as we are asking the people in our state to comply with these orders, we should not be taking these people and put them behind bars. These people who have spent their life building up a business and being told to shut down and lose every penny they have, and then if they don't follow every little fine point of all the rules, they suddenly
That's how we do it here in Texas. That is how it's done. We want our freedoms back. We want everybody to have their freedom back. We want our businesses back. People put their entire livelihood into those businesses. And it's tearful for me to see it, because I'm a big believer in entrepreneurship, and I believe that people starting businesses, that's the backbone of this country, and we are the lifeblood of this country. And that's what makes America great. People come from all over the world to this country so they can make something of themselves, have something of their own. And people save for their entire lives to start businesses. It is unconscionable to me to have this shutdown go on this long and to be so persnickety about every little rule. Because even when we have executive orders, we have like these little demi tyrants in our cities who are overzealous and want to follow the letter of the law, as in the judge that put her in jail, the judge that put Shelley Luther in jail. He asked her, he said, oh, you can reduce that if you apologize and acknowledge that you were being selfish. And she said that it is not selfish of me to want to feed my children. And I think that's my girl. That's how it ought to be. So that's the American spirit. That's the way we are supposed to be. So I think we should all take a lesson from this fine example of an American and a Texan and follow suit. Churches should open. We are grown people. We have enough sense. We know how to handle ourselves. We know the dangers. We wear gloves. We wear masks if we want to. We're not stupid. So I'm calling upon people to be reasonable with one another. And the other thing that is really just driving me nuts are these places like Bill de Blasio. Bill de Blasio set up a text so people can knock on each other, so neighbors can call and tattle on neighbors. How neighborly, huh? Tells you what kind of person Bill de Blasio is. I don't know what kind of... he's the worst mayor ever known to mankind, ever. I mean, he's really the worst. He's had such horrible ideas. His wife lost, I think, $750 million for some project that he put her in charge of, and she can't account for that money in New York City. This kind of stuff is happening. And they're almost always, the ones that are doing this craziness, almost always blue, always Democrats. So, yeah, crazy Democrats. Yeah, nutty people. I'd like to see there be an onslaught of people coming out. Is onslaught the correct word? Coming out of that ridiculous party. When they see things like this, behavior like this, and the other thing that I wanted to talk to you about is this new move. I've seen this on Twitter, on Facebook, it's all over the internet, basically. These women who are saying, even if Joe Biden molested me, I'd still vote for him over Trump. What kind of nonsense? Who thinks like that? What happened to Me Too? Believe the woman. What happened to it? I don't know the story of the Biden molestation accusation. I really don't. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on anything, but I really think that, they should have a look-see. I mean, look at all that they did to Kavanaugh. And that lady didn't have any kind of evidence. This lady at least has people who can verify that she did tell them back then. Kavanaugh's accuser, Blasey Ford, is that her last name? Kavanaugh's accuser, she couldn't remember exactly where the house was. She couldn't remember how she got there. She couldn't remember how she got home. She couldn't remember who was at the party except for Kavanaugh, apparently. She had nothing. And the media went with that. I mean, weeks. We had to look at television, hearing about it day in and day out. And she had that baby voice. Oh, yes, Yes, and I was so frightened and I don't remember. And oh gosh, I don't think I could bear it. And she was a teacher. Oh my gosh, can you imagine taking notes in that class? Suffice it to say, we are on fire right now. General Flynn, it's been recommended that he be released because they're dropping all criminal charges. Thank God. Because he was set up, everybody knew it, we watched it happen, we couldn't do anything about it. It was like a train wreck. They set him up, they threatened his son. They threatened his son. That's amazing to me that that's allowable in this country. We've got to stop this. We've got to clean up house. We've got to drain the swamp because obviously that swamp is deeper than we thought, and we got to drain it. There's just no way around it. And the only way we're going to do that is to elect Republicans. Now, there are some Republicans in that swamp. Like Mitt Romney, I consider him in the swamp. There's several Republicans in the swamp. They aren't as obvious as Mitt Romney is because he's an obvious, backstabber. But there's a lot more than meets the eye. And I think Schiff ought to go to jail. I think Comey, I know he did something criminal. I mean, we need to investigate these people. We've wasted so much time allowing them to investigate our president, who has done nothing but try to make this country better. And they come up with these really outlandish things about him. They say things like, oh, he's a dangerous person. How is he dangerous? He's trying to protect us. He's trying to help us be able to protect ourselves. He is not dangerous. What's dangerous is the continuation of all the swamp dwellers. That's what's dangerous in this country. You have to remember, I mean, I'm enjoying this celebration of freedom right now because the beautician, the lady who owned the salon in Dallas, she's been released. Flynn is going to be going home. That should be celebrated. But what we can't forget are all of our friends and family who live in blue states who are still under the thumb of tyranny. And we still have a little mini tyrants here in Texas. In some of these blue cities, we have Austin right next door to me. I'm in the north of Austin, but yeah, they've got wherever you see a blue city, a city run by Democrats, they run a city into the ground. We'll be right back. So, and we're back. After a little contemplation and some sincere praying, I was thinking I'm glorying a little bit too much in some of the newfound freedoms that we are enjoying here in Texas. I mean, sure, I'm glorying in it because God is always good. He has always been good to me. I mean, he's always good. So, but I want to think that we're all praying for our brothers and sisters who live in blue states and blue cities. Not just those who think like us, but even those poor suckers that don't think like us. You know, the ones that they're out of their mind with socialism and crap. I'm just saying, I'm thinking sincere prayer is in order here because they need it. They are literally stuck in a situation where they are outnumbered and have been outvoted. And they have been put in a situation where there's tyranny run amok, where people are using what little power they have in really huge ways. And it is not cool. It is not right, and it never will be. And America was not founded to be that way. And this is not, I remember one thing I used to hate Obama saying all the time was, this is not who we are. And I used to think, he doesn't know who the heck I am. He doesn't know me. He doesn't know who I am. And I don't know each one of you. I'd like to. But I think sincere prayer is in order here. Because we're slowly getting our rights back here in Texas, but it's not the way it is everywhere. Not every place is built, spread out. Where we are, I always have to have a little property around me, even if it's a small amount of property. This where I live now, it's a small property compared to my last house, but that was intentional because I was tired of taking care of a lot of property. But for those who live in inner cities and who live in apartments, and they have to go up and down the same elevators, and they have to use the same stairways, and they have to use the same laundry rooms, they're in trouble. And they need our prayer. Serious. They're in trouble because this coronavirus is not going to go away by itself. It is not going to go away without a lot of damage. Just like the flu, really, because, the flu can be deadly. It almost killed me. So, yeah, I definitely understand and I get that. But when you are concealed in a building, I've lived in high rises before, and you're concealed in a building, and it's wonderful when everything's good and everyone's healthy and the weather outside is foul and you're inside this nice, cozy, apartment, flat, or condo. But when you're in it, like they are right now, where you're living in a situation where you have to share all these things and they're telling you to shelter in place, it has got to be tough. It has got to be tough. And I'm mad at myself for forgetting to pray for these people. They desperately need our prayer. Not that God isn't watching after them. He does. And he loves them. Just like he loves us. But they're in a situation different than ours. And my heart breaks because I'm thinking, what would I do? What would you do if you lived in that situation? What would you do if you lived in a situation, if you're in a small apartment and your kids are out of school and you're expected to homeschool and you're in this small apartment all day because you have to shelter in place? That's prison. That's prison. That's a prison of a whole different kind. Even though you may very well, they may very well love their family. But anytime two people have to be together all the time, it really does. You're only human. It's got to be tough. So I'm going to pray, and I'm going to ask you guys, if you have a prayer life, pray to God, pray to Jesus, pray for those who are sheltering in place in inner cities and in blue cities and blue states. Because they have a different burden than I do. They have a different burden. And I'm just going to pray that God lightens their load and lightens their heart and the weight of this pandemic ends so that they can have their lives back. And they can have their freedom back. This is super important. We must all do that. As a Catholic, I have a lot of special prayers, but I also have my personal prayers. I write my prayers down because I'm also a poet, so I love to write my prayers down, and so I read them later, and I look back. I can look back at prayers that I wrote years ago, and it can tell you it tells me what frame of mind I was in at the time. And it's very interesting because the older that I get, the more childlike my prayers seem to be. That was something that I noticed that was kind of interesting because I totally rely on God. And I think a lot of it is because he's gotten me through so much. He's gotten me through so much that I just know he's not going to leave me now. He's got me through everything. Every one of you, every single one of you have survived 100% of the bull in your life. 100% of the nastiness, horribleness that life could dish out to you. You have survived 100% of that. With God's help and his grace. And yourself too. You survived it. So there are a lot of people right now who are not enclosed with other people. They might be lonely. They might be destitute. They might be feeling despair. And for those people, I'm asking all of us to pray for them. That was just something I needed to say. So I'm not a news person, but when I see something interesting that concerns me, I like to talk about it. And today, somebody sent me something that concerns me. This came from American Digest, and then I went on the site and it verified what the Digest said. And documents were filed with the Federal Election Committee, and they show efforts to obtain Michelle Obama as the official choice as presumptive Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden's vice president. Well, not too much of a shocker, but not something that makes you very happy because, gosh, I had to suffer her as the president's wife, so now we'll have to suffer this. Hopefully not. But this is no bueno. The aim, this is a quote from the campaign. She has a page now, or her grassroots group, they have a page. And this is a quote from their page. The aim of this campaign is to build on the substantial grassroots support for a potential Michelle Obama candidacy and help garner media attention for a vice presidential nominee who has the power to defeat Donald Trump. That's their official statement on their website. And they filed papers. So that's not to say that she's going to be chosen, but that is, they're opening the door, they're setting the stage so that if she is, everything will be in order. How do you feel about that, America? I mean, didn't we suffer long enough with Obama? I mean, and Joe's not long for this world mentally. I mean, he's almost gone. I mean, he was announcing his Senate. He said, I'm running for Senate, and he's obviously running for president. And so for him to say that was kind of, well, it was telltale. Everybody's pretending he's not senile, but he's senile. I mean, a child could see that. A child, you don't have to be a doctor. A child could see that. So what say you, America? I'm concerned because that would put her a heartbeat away from being our president. Michelle Obama. And Justice Ginsburg was hospitalized again with an infection of her gallbladder. That is what is at stake in this situation. That is what is at stake. If we allow Joe Biden and whoever he chooses to win, which we cannot allow that, we're gone. This country's over. He would destroy it in a heartbeat. The Democratic Party would put their swamp creatures back in every situation, and your freedoms are gone. And I don't want to even tell you what I'm thinking, but there's no Canada to go to from that. There's nothing that you can do from that. So we have to fight back. We have to vote. We have to be serious about it. We have to pray for our country, pray for our country, our president, our families, and our fellow Americans, even the ones who don't agree with us. They probably need the prayer even more, those who don't agree with us, because they're in delusion world. They're in that Trump derangement syndrome thing, which is devastating. I don't get it. It's like it's irrational hate. They're so founded on hate. It is crazy to me. And for me, I'm about love. I love my country. I love my family. I love my American family. I want America first. That's why I voted for this president, and he is the best president that I have seen since I have been on this planet. Not that I've come from some other planet. I didn't. I'm just being poetic. You should see some of my prayers. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. But make sure you vote, even if you have to put on a space suit to get there and vote, because I do not trust mail-in voting. If you listen to my last program, you know how I feel about that. But what's at stake is, Ginsburg, she's not the only old person on the Supreme Court. She's not the only one who could fall ill at any moment. Any one of them could. I think they're all over 60, I think. So this is at stake. This is our chance to end abortion. This is our chance to make America great again. This is our chance. And we cannot waste it. We cannot waste our time. We cannot waste our energy. We cannot waste our vote. We cannot stay home. Not this time. Probably not ever. So I want to say, dear God, bless this country. Today, I think they celebrated a day of prayer at the White House, which I saw the singing. It was beautiful. I would sing more for you, but my husband doesn't think I sing well, but I think I sing really well. I do. But, I actually got paid for it a long, long time ago. I've had a lot of jobs. I know. I've done everything I've ever really wanted to do. I've been really blessed. I wanted to be a rock star, and I got in a rock and roll band, and everything I wanted to do, I've done, including this. This is Kathy of kathysright.com, and thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Make sure you push that button wherever it is and subscribe. I'm now on iHeartRadio. So welcome to iHeartRadio. This is exciting. And several other podcast distributors picked me up this week. So that's great. I love it. I'll talk to you soon. Stay prayed up. I'll talk to you next time. America, bye.